Welcome to another episode of Closing Staff Podcast. I'm your host today, Tradehold, and as usual, we have to my... Actually, I guess you guys are both across from me. We have Cash Wrap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to be here. And
I feel like you have to keep that in mind that you're a Cash Wrap.
I am. I'm at the front of the store, and I am the gatekeeper for all things.
Mm-hmm. Only ones in the ridge.
Exchanges happen around in my area. Exchange of money and video games. So.
And of course, we have Distro, who now has to have a description of his name.
Oh, there we go, guys. So, you know when you're getting a box at your store and you think it's going to be something amazing, like the new Halo or the new Combat, like Evolved, whatever. What Combat Evolved? What the hell am I talking about? You're sitting in there and you're just super excited is what I'm trying to get at, right? And then you open it up and it's just socks. And it's just like random trinkets and it's random things that you don't want in your store, right? And you're sitting there and you're like, oh man, and you dig all the way to the bottom and then there's that chase pop. That's me.
I was just going to say, we're going to be talking about the stocks later on, but I feel like that was a good analogy of me, because it's like you're waiting to see something nice in there, and I'm just like, oh, I saved money because this is nothing I want.
Yeah, right? This is nothing.
That's my Asian penny pincher thought process there. We have two guests with us today. We're going to be talking primarily about GameStop news, but let me introduce you. Only formerly GameStop employee, recently left the company.
They've been saved.
Hello, everyone. My mother always said I had a face for radio.
Yeah, perfectly fine for this segment here. And then we also have a still currently employed GameStop employee. That was redundant. Marketing.
Hey, I'm marketing. You can call me Ting. I like to be mounted on walls.
Okay.
Or put into plexiglass.
I feel like FDO's job.
Put me on display.
Yeah.
just
split
put me
into
on
16
Throw them in the
different,
trash.
16 different images that create one huge one, as was known back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's a thing anymore, right?
What's that?
The 16 display anymore? I don't think that's a thing.
Or you create a little puzzle and you put it together and it's like the cover art of a game.
Is that a thing anymore? I don't think.
No.
Okay.
You go over to marketing. Is that a thing anymore?
Is that a thing, marketing?
The DVD case is done.
Yeah, they're gone.
Wow. End of an
The
era.
mosaic.
End of an era.
Oh man, I did some great pranks with those.
They're still a mosaic, but they made it worse.
It's a 2x2, but it's a 2x2 panel now.
Wow, really?
Oh, okay.
So fewer paper cuts then, I'm guessing.
Oh, there you go. Fewer struggles, fewer tears. It's not as fun as when you look over and it's not quite right. You don't know why. And you're not. I used to refuse to look at the book. So for anybody listening, that's not familiar, thank you for listening. Thank you for coming back and listening to our talk, because we have tons of stuff to talk about. But there used to be this marketing book that you would get, no pun intended, marketing, where you would sit there and you'd actually run through it and you'd get like a picture and it'd actually tell you like, hey, this is where it's supposed to go where. But I'd be like, let's just go from there and then let's just figure this out, because how hard could it be? And then oftentimes they're all the same color. They're just different shades. You put it up there, it looks funky, and it takes you way longer than it should.
Yeah.
I'm glad
Do you
that it's
want to hear something very interesting about the marketing book?
Yes.
So,
There is no marketing book.
There's no marketing book. They stopped putting it with the marketing kit, and so they had it all on the computer, and we would print out the pages to use. And then I guess they were like, yeah, that kind of goes against what we're actually trying to do. We're trying to save paper, so now you don't get a marketing book at all.
Wow.
No, instead you get a packing list.
Really?
And figure it out.
I'm at times completely perplexed, but also that's about in line with the that's about in line with the bumbling nature of instructions.
You sit there and you ask yourself what's going on, but then you're like, you know what, that sounds about right.
And it gives you some more freedom, right, to mess around with marketing
to
stuff,
kind of play around with it. Yeah, that's true. Get a little creative with
because at that point you can't refer to a book. Yeah, you know what? There you go.
Yeah.
I say,
surround me some more.
And then the management comes in and they're like, this is all wrong.
Oh, well, that's just your interpretation of it.
Yeah.
This is art, okay?
None of our stores look alike.
Where was the instructions for you to tell me that? Yeah.
We see, I was really influenced by Salvador Dali. So, what I mean is, I like expressions.
That's or MC Escher, right? With all the weird stuff.
Something abstract. And,
yeah, exactly.
Welcome to the
This is
abstract
how I interpret it with
GameStop
this
store.
marketing material.
Yeah.
It's my inner Van Gogh.
I was going for a more indie abstract kind of concept. It's whatever you want it to be.
Right. Open to interpretation during this season.
Yeah.
I like that though. That's kind of interesting.
By the way,
But I
real
can see
quick,
it being really annoying.
because everyone knows what marketing is, but if FDO can explain what FDO is,
Yeah.
because
Please.
even when I mentioned it to these guys in chat, I think Distro was like, "What's FDO?" And I was just like,
Oh, practice.
It's been a long
really.
time.
It's
Been out of
yeah, it's a
practice.
little out of practice. Yeah. That's when I realized I was just like, oh snap, yeah.
Yeah, FDO is an acronym, stands for display only. So,
for
like
display
boxes that they put out there that showcase what kind of accessories or controllers that GameStop may or may not actually have in stock. There's nothing inside. They're for display only. Just like me.
"It's a yeah."
Oh, me too.
Empty on the inside.
There's no contents in the actual package, but if you take
Unless you
it to
want
the
to buy a box
register,
of
you
hair.
might get
But
lucky.
it's-
Yeah,
But it's there for you to approach.
Yeah.
yeah, you can look at it. It's on display. You can see what it is
It looks
and all
good.
that cool stuff.
And then the guest will bring it up, and then you'll end up putting it back because you're saying, we don't have this.
And then like the little kids like to open them and be like, "There's nothing inside."
Well,
Yeah.
no duh.
Why is this on the wall? Yeah.
Actually, that reminds me. I used to work with someone who used to put things in those display cases, and so if someone would bring it up and he'd open it and the thing he hid in there was that one,
Mhm.
he would act like they had just won something
Oh,
really
yeah.
major. And they didn't win anything, of course, but it was pretty interesting to see people bring things up and act like they're on like a hidden camera show because of what he did.
That sounds like
Yeah.
way too much effort. I would have
Yeah,
the energy to keep that up.
yeah. This guy had a lot of time on his hands when he worked, apparently. So
when
I would
it was dull.
I would
Yeah.
pull a lot of pranks.
You're giving me a lot of ideas what I want to do at the store now. Be like, surprise, little bag of sugar.
Well, you can't really do it anymore marketing, but I mean, I used to pull the pranks where I would take someone's cell phone if they left it aside, and I would put it in one of the Mosaic DVD cases and slide it back in. And so
Oh.
when they like call and it vibrates,
Yeah.
they're just trying to look for it. I know actually this one we haven't had this person on as a guest yet, so I don't know what to call him. But I remember one time I did it to him so often that the last time I did it, instead of putting it inside a DVD case, I taped it to the back of the cabinet. So he's like pulling out the DVD cases looking for his phone,
Uh-huh.
and it's like not there. And I started laughing so much because he actually opened the cabinet and he took a peek inside because you have like the shrines and all the other stuff inside of it, so sometimes you can't open it all the way. So he's
Yeah.
peeking inside and he still doesn't see his phone, and it's like really messing with him where his phone is.
That's funny.
He just cracked up when he finally
That's
found it. He's
good.
like, "Oh, are you serious,
Yeah.
man?"
He's like, God damn it.
That's good.
Little things like that.
Anyways, that's a really long intro.
Yeah, I was about to
But,
say. That being said, the intro, really hits hard here. You guys already know what you pay for.
Yeah, and we for everyone listening, I know our audience is made up of a various subsets of different folks related to this. I mean, we've got people who used to work at GameStop. We've got people who are there now. We've got people who are interested in it, from a gaming side of things, and so it really is awesome to have a couple different perspectives on the call today.
Mhm.
Someone who was there recently and just left, and someone who's there now.
Well, even then too, we've had a little bit of a hiatus ourselves, so I know there's a lot of different topics, different news that's popped up. And to your point, having these perspectives, yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I think it's pretty great.
all
But
right.
apparently Distro has places to be, people to see, because he's getting calls during our show.
Yeah, right.
People trying to get in. It's like, no,
it's
a closed set.
It's Moosevilleheim, don't worry. Sir, me and Surtur got beer pong later. So, but that's besides the point.
So yeah, we're gonna talk about some of the events that we didn't get to cover. I took a look at our last upload, and even though we have a few more going up because it needs some editing, our last one was from the profiles when we did for Cash Wrap. You know how long ago that was?
How long ago was that?
7 months.
7 months ago.
7 months ago. Oh man.
7 months.
Wow.
That's how long. That's crazy.
It's like when you save a game and you forget, and you come back and you start that file back up, and you're like, all right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like, let's go.
Yeah.
So we got a few events, that we haven't been able to cover because we've been out of it for a little bit. Aside from our Game Talk stuff.
Right.
So one thing I want to ask, the deal with the TikTok competition, where, what was it, you can win 10 hours? Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. The prize was you get 10 extra hours for holiday season.
And it's not even for like per person, was it? It was just...
It was for the whole store.
For the whole store. 10
okay.
extra hours.
For the whole store.
The whole
Yep.
store.
So not even per person, but for the store.
Yeah. So that's like, it's like if you had like 5 people who get 2 extra hours.
And that's extra hours for scheduling, right?
Yeah.
Like, for the week, rather?
For one scheduled week.
For one scheduled week.
One week, okay.
For just a
I
single
think
week.
so.
One schedule.
How
I
gracious.
think so.
I'm pretty sure it is.
I mean,
That's
that
what
would make
it is,
sense, yeah.
Yeah.
1 week of hours to use.
For one pay period.
And so you had to film yourself dancing
Yep.
to a
Or
video.
various
to a
things.
video.
Maybe a Harlem
or-
Shake or something, like.
Oh, like
No,
a
there
famous
was-
dance, like a
There
trending
was
dance.
a dance that they showed us on like the video that was explaining it. We had to, as a crew, do that dance, post it on TikTok. And I don't know if this was like any store that participated gets the 10 extra hours or they chose the best one. Like you weren't even guaranteed the 10 extra hours for doing that.
So there was no reward for dancing on camera.
Yeah,
There was no
there's
participation.
Other
No
than the
participation
thrill
award,
of it.
no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
competition part of it, right? Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. So,
So-
you're competing to get 10 extra hours for 1
Yeah.
week.
And I guess the assumption is that you would enjoy doing this anyways, and you're probably doing this at home anyways because TikTok is such a widely adopted sensation globally.
Yeah.
That, hey, you might as well just do what you usually do, GameStop employees, dance on camera, and then, hey, you might be able to win something.
I mean,
Mhm.
if they were like, if they had won a better prize, and two, if it was more of like, do a funny skit or something that you guys came up with, make it a little bit more like you
Personal,
didn't have, yeah, more personal, and you would be able to have some control over what you put out there.
Right.
Then maybe it wouldn't be so bad. But the dance was
Predetermined dance.
So I'm assuming you didn't do the video.
no, oh no, didn't even consider it.
So
saw it, laughed.
I
yeah.
remember seeing it, and then they want us to do this. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna get back to work. I'm gonna earn my hours for real.
You're right. I'm going to do this the real way here.
Yeah,
The real way by just selling things.
Yeah.
The only bright side was it was optional. You didn't have to
Okay.
participate.
So
it wasn't a requirement.
You could choose. Yeah.
Okay, that's
I don't
good.
think anyone actually participated because
I have actually heard. I
So-
believe I saw some stores posting their own like video of it. So I think some people did participate,
Right.
but I don't know how many. Like,
So that
Was it-
that was like going to be my next question. Was there any excitement that you saw from this competition being thrown out there? Directly.
just disgust.
Okay.
I mean, I'm pretty sure when they announced the winners on the GameStop whatever like GSO, I'm like, cool, click on it. It's been marked as red. I'm moving on.
did you get any customers who heard about it who came in and were just like asking you questions about it or anything?
Not in
No,
my store.
no, not for me.
no interest at all, huh?
Yeah.
From either
Wow.
side of the counter.
Not at all.
So when you send a really strongly, a strongly worded professional letter to your district manager saying, there seems to be a little bit of disconnect here. I strongly disagree with your marketing strategies. No offense, marketing.
It's gonna be like this. A strongly worded letter is just gonna be like, stop it.
And at the bottom, what the f***? Sincerely, your
Like
favorite staff.
honestly,
The closing staff.
That definitely came into my mind. Like I thought about that because I was just what? But I realized they don't care. Nobody cares.
Right.
Nobody cares.
Well, it shows that they have the hours to give you, but it's like,
They just don't want to.
they just don't want to do it. It's
Right.
kind of like, now there's a little bit of, how about you market our company a little bit?
Right.
Or how about you give us a little bit of hype, and then we might flow you 10.
Yeah.
And what's 10? That's like an extra GA. you know, like, or 2, you know, like an extra J for 2 days or something, you
Yeah.
know, like, or somebody's extra, let's say, like, instead of working a 5-hour, they can work a full shift or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So that
that
kind
basically means I can take a shorter lunch.
of yeah, right.
you know?
You can enjoy a little bit longer during your lunch break, I guess. But it kind of brings a question up because that's not a new tactic. I remember having to do that when I worked there as well. Earn hours was definitely something that was common.
Yeah, for us
Yeah.
it was always metrics and then like,
But
or like,
that's what it was. And
You
so
know, yeah.
like it kind of brings up the question like, is this method, how does this new like method of divvying up, you know, earned hours compared to just earning hours based on the metrics of your store, which is what we
That's
you
true.
know,
and then that segues into something we want to talk about too, is kind of like, how do you convince a store that's closing to dance on TikTok? Like, you know, super happy for 10 extra hours, you know?
Right.
Where it's kind of like, hey,
Yeah.
here, you know, or it's just like, how do you hype up a company where it's just like, you have people who are literally on a sinking boat, but you want them to dance on it?
yeah.
You know? Yeah, like,
Technically, on the other side of that, I can see a closing, like people working at a closing store being like gung ho for it, only because it's like, well, I'm out of here anyways. Might as well use my hours to try to dance on something and get more hours and get extra pay.
I
before
would
I'm
just
out.
dance anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So like
you know,
so
Exactly. And might as well film it.
so like that's
I don't
the
know about
question.
filming it, but,
Like that's
To be honest,
yeah, go ahead.
if a store did that, my initial reaction would probably be they've lost their minds. They've gone insane. They're like, there's no reason
It finally
to do
happened.
that.
Yeah,
right,
it finally happened.
They broke.
There are better things to do with your time.
Yeah, like cry.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
All right, there you go. GameStop corporate like priorities: crying
Yeah.
before dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. You know?
Yeah.
They submit a video onto TikTok of you losing your mind having a breakdown about COVID, holiday seasons, and GameStop.
Well, they're marketing. You can tell that's marketing.
Yeah, right.
I'll make a note of it.
Make note of it.
Me and my store leader back in the day would have those like just conversations where it's kind of messed up to think about. But he'd be like, yeah, like he'd tell me, he's just like, dude, yeah, like I'm super like, I don't know what's wrong, but like I think I'm gonna have to go to the doctor or something, but I can't because it's like blackout period for holidays and stuff like that. he's just like between me and you, it's a little graphic. But he's just like, but I'm in the bathroom sometimes back there, and I ask myself, is this it? Am I about to just die in the back room of GameStop, like in the bathroom, because you know, like I can't leave because of a blackout period, or because I have no like,
Yeah.
I don't have those 10 extra hours because I didn't do the TikTok dance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause I
you know,
didn't.
yeah.
I didn't earn the hours.
You know,
'Cause I
yeah.
came in fourth. In
Yeah, because I came in fourth.
this district competition, so I don't have the hours to
Or
go
like-
to the doctor.
We sat there in the very store we were talking about earlier. So, you know, rest in peace. You know, we see our stores close all the time, but we were sitting there and the air conditioning didn't work for the longest time. And it got so hot in there and it got so stuffy and it was bad. And it was a smaller store. And I remember, like, my store leader looked over at me. He's like, I think I'm taking one for the team. I'm going to pass out. He's like, I'm not going to drink any water tomorrow morning. He's like, I'm not going to eat. I'm going to do like 50 jumping jacks and I'm going to come in here and just pass out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know? And then maybe then they'll see that, like, we need support.
Yeah.
You know,
We
like,
need help.
we need help.
Oh,
You know?
man.
Send help. Send
I've
help to the
considered
front
that a few
lines.
times.
So when you
Yeah.
get there, it's just like, oh man, is it worth it? Yeah, you know?
Well, it's good to hear that
I blame
conditions
marketing.
haven't changed.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, something that's been in the news a lot recently is the whole stock situation. That's a interesting thing. Did you guys
Yeah.
have any stocks before?
Any stocks? No, I'm not a stock guy. But to be fair, now I'm beating myself up. It's just like, why didn't I invest in my dying company?
You know, you know what? You know
know?
what? I had actually planned to pick up a few stocks, not because I was anticipating anything like this.
Yeah.
It was more just like, well, technically, with the next generation consoles coming out, their stocks could go up.
Yeah.
So I thought about picking it up, but between busy life, I totally forgot.
Yeah.
And then once this news hit, I'm like, oh, dang, I was going to buy stocks. I totally forgot to.
I was in the same exact boat, actually, Trade Hold. I was right there with you. There was a time, I think, last fall or something that I just kind of thought, you know, like, why not? GameStop is trading for like $5 a share right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy a few. Why not?
Yeah,
See what happens.
actually, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
It might have been $8.
$8,
something like
yeah.
that. It was something like that
Something low.
back then.
Yeah.
And now,
Can you imagine if like with Starbucks, if when you're you work there, they give you stocks.
Yeah, right.
I think after a certain amount, if GameStop did that, I don't think they would have been in this situation.
Yeah,
probably this would not have happened.
Yeah,
we picked a different company, first of all, but we would have stocks.
So the question for you, FDO in marketing, is if you did have stock in GameStop, like say that was part of joining, would you be more inclined to do a TikTok dance?
Hell no.
No.
Would you see
I have to retain some dignity. Please.
I have self-respect.
This thing called self-respect.
What? Despite how little and deprecating it is, I still have self-respect.
Yeah.
Martin can still go to sleep at
night. There's no amount of shares that could equal the self-respect and dignity that you would have to sacrifice to dance on a TikTok.
Absolutely not.
It's good to know.
Yeah, right.
It's good to know the true value of a share in GameStop. Right there.
Yeah, right. I remember there was that weird article they were talking about, like, just, you hear like junk articles or clickbait and stuff. But I remember some executive, I can't even tell you from where, but pretty much it was like I didn't think too much of it until right now. But he's just like, just wait, GameStop stock is gonna swing in its favor. Because the same thing we were talking about before is like things dip, but then they shoot up. Mm-hmm. And just like Tradehold was saying, is like with new consoles coming out, or like let's say with like this new kind of generation of things coming out, like let's say VR all of a sudden takes off all crazy or something.
Right.
Like he's just like, you should anticipate seeing GameStop stocks just kind of take a swing. Maybe not so much as it did because of how many people trolled and did all that stuff, but like there should be like with every company there should be dips and flows, Right.
So
that's why like I feel like it's not a bad idea to buy stuff or buy a stock in GameStop necessarily.
Well, that was the thing is Tradehold, you guys nailed it. Like there was, if you're just looking at their business, it looked like it was going to see a little bit of a spike. It always does when new consoles come around and they can sail on that for a little bit. There was some kind of cool things happening in the business world too. On GameStop, a new board member came aboard, all kind of stuff. But it looked like a good play. Like it kind of looked like I'm not going to make a ton of money off of it. But hey, they cost $8 a share. I could spend, what I spend on coffee every week and have some shares in this company. If it goes up $2, $3 in the next few months, I made some money. Like it looked good. And then all of a sudden, here comes this huge crew of people who want to make, I don't know what they're doing, but now you
trying to screw over the hedge funds.
See what's going on, and GameStop is all of a sudden worth more than some pretty established companies out there for a while.
Right, yeah.
Which was pretty insane, but
I think the all-time high was like 380. I don't remember.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think it was pretty high up
nuts.
there, but it made some people lose a good billions of dollars because of that. Yeah,
and then how quickly it went back down.
Yeah. And it also has it's still going up and down. The last time I checked, I think it was 200 something.
Oh, okay.
And so it's still even when I seen it drop, I would see it go back up.
Okay.
And if anyone who's not familiar with stocks, it's not that easy to understand. It's a whole big rabbit hole of stuff.
Whole world.
So it's now there's a whole lot more interest in stocks now from people who aren't, mostly gamers, I guess.
Right.
Because they don't really invest in stocks in the first place.
I was going to say, just imagine getting a bunch of gamers into the stock market and they play it. Because for me, I look at it like the game corner in Goldenrod City in Pokemon Silver. I walk in and I'm there to make coin.
Right. There to make some money.
That's strictly it. I'm here to get in and out with profit. I might spend some money, but I'm getting Porygon.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Or I'm getting something.
Getting what I came here for.
I'm getting what I came here for. And I feel like if you go in with that same mentality, you know what I mean? There's all these different things that happen, It's like playing a strategy RPG, you just kind of have to get your pieces in the right place,
Right, right. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to understand when it comes to stocks. I mean, I would say the probably immediate thing people will ask about is because they'll ask you right when you try to set up your portfolio. You want a cash account or a margin account. They're just like, what's that? No.
For everyone out there listening, please stay away from margin. It is so scary. Oh my gosh.
Margin is more for people with actual money,
who make a job out of this. Don't dip into margin if you're not ready to take a ride.
There's differences with day trading or extended hours and Yeah, this a lot to do with stocks. So if you're interested in stocks,
Tune into Closing Staff, the
No, no,
stock
no.
edition.
Actually, you're gonna have to watch a few videos about it because there's a lot to learn. And
Yeah.
more
The
than-
stock market, yeah.
yeah, and take notes, but don't do it out of FOMO.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Do it out of FOMO.
I second that.
So as far as like our boots on the ground in the foxhole still marketing, you're still at a store at this time, and then
Yes.
how often you get people that come into the store just talking about BS that may come online or just random rumors? Like, because I remember at my time in the stores, it was always Polygon or Kotaku just putting up just BS, like just those random articles that were going on and stuff. And we'd always get just occasionally, like, and somebody coming in, they'll be like, "Circle of Life," huh? Or something like that. Like when that whole big thing was happening, and even before that, just like just a lot of different controversies. How often do people come up and actually ask you about a bunch of just BS?
I mean, like recently, like I think I've had like 3 people, like I think literally this week, just talking about stocks. Hey, you guys get any GameStop stock? Or then it's like, oh, you guys got any PS5s or Xbox Series X's? And
Love
then,
that
like,
impression.
Yeah, that's great.
Perfect.
And then
Perfect
it's like-
impression.
And what's the other one? It's like, y'all got that Ninja Pickaxe?
Just thinking about that.
But it's kind of the stupid, redundant question that you get because it's just like if you had a brain and you had a Google browser or something like that, you could just Google all your answers right there.
What
Like,
if
honestly
they're
common sense.
lonely marketing? What if they just want to hear your soothing voice?
What if this is just a cry for
I'll
help?
just be like, oh yeah, you want to hear my voice? I'll be like, go. I got things to do.
I'm on the clock.
Schedules to make. I'm on the clock.
I got dances to.
Yeah, I got dances to do
I got to choreograph a whole routine
for 10 hours.
for 10 hours.
10 hours.
Nothing more, nothing less.
So you
Well,
say
I mean-
it's pretty often though, right?
Often.
Yeah, it's not often. It's more like I've gotten some questions about, well, when's that GTA 6 coming out? Like,
Mm.
whenever Rockstar decides to just make the damn game.
FDO, did you see the same kind of activity? Hijinks from customers and the kinds of questions they ask?
Yeah. I mean, that just comes with,
The territory.
with the territory, because when there's a lot of stuff happening all at once with, especially with the new consoles coming out, people, and the way that the way that it's happening, the way that it happened, how the pre-orders came, the way that they did the pre-orders, ooh,
Sounds about right.
I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah.
Because
You would think they'd get it right eventually, but no.
yeah, but the thing is that Sony they announced it September 16th, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
and it was supposed to come. The pre-orders were supposed to be available the next day, but I guess Walmart decided to just say, "Now we're gonna start pre-ordering them today, on the 16th." So Sony was like, "All right, then fine," and then we were told at like middle of the day that go ahead and do pre-orders for those things. And it's like, what are you talking about? I didn't get any coverage until 2 hours after that.
Yeah.
So I was getting bombarded with phone calls and people coming up and being like, can I pre-order the PS5? Can I pre-order the PS5? And I'm like, I don't know. Come back tomorrow. Call back later. I really don't know anything. And so after that, and after how we only got enough for what was pre-ordered, and then we got 2 of each console on Black Friday. And then they sent us, they had
God.
bundles available online only.
Yeah, I remember those.
And it was a nightmare. It was honestly a nightmare. And so you get a lot of questions about, when are you guys going to get the PS5 or the Xbox Series X in? When can we pre-order more? How do I get notified? And it's like, I tell people all the time when I was still working there, I told people, I was like, you need to just, it's timing, luck, and dedication. You need to just get lucky being able to get here first. You need to be dedicated. You need to be completely aware of what's happening, not just at GameStop, but online with Sony and with Microsoft and what they're planning to do and what other people are able to find out outside of what the company can find out, because we don't know anything all the time. Like we're not omnipotent about gaming stuff. We know, like I get so much information from customers all the time that I was just totally unaware of. And that's how I get my information is from the customers.
From the street.
Yeah.
You hear from the
that
street.
before I worked there. I remember walking in and
you would
like
remember
customers would ask you guys for what's the current sale, and I'd be the one like next,
be like,
browsing, well, this is the sale going on right now.
Yeah, he knows. Trade hold over this guy knows.
Right?
Yeah, can you ask him?
No, yeah, for real though.
He knows more than us.
What? It's coincidental though, because at the time I was working at Google, so technically I guess I was the Google.
That's true. You were the Google for the store.
Yeah,
Trade hold was our Google
if you
search.
work at Google, then you are Google.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. They are one. All of them.
Technically, you're using Google right now.
Yeah, right. I like it. It's funny how you hear the same trends, but with different consoles or with different items and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I remember like plenty of times being at my store and it's a good morning, got my coffee, everything's fine, like every registers are at perfect amount, safe's been counted, everything's good to go, you got your checklist done. Freaking RSBs, what are you even talking about? Got them done. You know what I mean? You're fine. And the next thing you know, Nintendo announces something. Or like, somebody announces something. Or like even Sony, you're like, oh my God. Next thing you know, you're getting a bunch of calls and you're like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like these are things that like they literally just announced. And then next thing you know, you have a line in your store and then there's people like trying to hit you with all these questions. You have like a big old box of trade in the middle.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, like I have no coverage for the next 3 or 4 hours. And like, and I'm going to have to answering phones. And I'm going to have to become an expert on this item in like the next maybe 2 hours.
Remember, that was a thing with the Majora's Mask 3DS for me.
Yeah.
Because the direct happened that morning before the store even opened. And then they announced that, GameStop will have them for pre-order. And then suddenly there are people online, people calling. And I'm just like, this was not planned. And I don't have coverage for a while, so it's just going to be me handling this right now.
Yeah, right.
And, of course, POS went down.
Like GSO is always so late to inform you of anything.
Yeah.
Like you don't get any emails about this specific topic or item up for pre-order until like either later that day or the complete next day when everyone already knows.
Yeah, GSO was rough. And, and shout out to Field Destroy, but I remember her favorite line was always, "Did you check GSO?" And I'd be like, "But the GSO's garbage."
Like, yeah, but did you check it though?
Yeah, right. But did you check it though? Yeah, right. That's besides the point. No, but it's true. Like last minute launches, last minute just announces and stuff, and then they just expect you to kind of be on the fly, just knowledgeable on everything.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh my God, they just announced, like you said. I remember that morning too because I hit with the same thing. It's like new Majora's Mask 3DS, or even with the new consoles. The best thing that we could do was we would personally like take people's names and numbers down on a sheet. Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, you have to take a little bit of time to do it. It makes it a little bit more of a hassle.
To me, that's easy.
But
like sure, I'll take it.
But you can see how like with some people, they'll be like, I'm not going to do that. That's an extra step. But when you sit there and you write down people's names and phone numbers, it makes them more personable. It makes them feel more comfortable coming in.
Yeah.
It makes them feel like at least you're trying. Sure, I'm going to be sure I'm not going to be able to get anything. Sure, I'm not going to be able to get my stuff, but at the same time, I still know that I have my name somewhere. Or at least I feel a little bit more comfortable. It makes me want to come into the store a little bit more.
Right.
It makes me want to shop a little bit more, you know, here. And even then, if I give them a call, it'd be more so like, hey, I know I'm not going to get any information on it, but let's say if I do just get any kind of inkling, I can't hold anything for you. But I can tell you to run. I'll be like, hey, man, we just got word, come to store quick.
Whole ass.
Like, this is the morning,
here.
like, let's go. And if I had, like, let's say, surprisingly enough, like, let's say maybe an extra 20, 30 minutes, I'd go through and call and be like, hey, no word, but these are the days that we usually get our stuff, so, like, come through these days,
Yeah.
And that's how you get those people that come through, and then, like, you get those customers that hook you up,
Right.
and come through and try to help you out. Because a lot of times, like, even if, like, I remember with the Nintendos and the Super Nintendos, when those came out, like, those were really hard to get.
Yeah.
But we try to help our people out,
Right.
like, our regulars, people actually came in and gave us a lot of good energy, gave us a lot of good business, and we're there to chill, Yeah, so that's why I see with a lot of situations, like, right now, even with, like, PS5 and Xbox Series X, like, I've called the two stores and they're just like, no, you're screwed. Like, there's no hope for you.
I like how the combination between this new generation of consoles that released and the pandemic has basically made the whole situation RNG.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
It's like, can I get one? It's like, well, roll.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Reroll.
Make a new account and reroll.
Well, before we move on to the next topic, real quick, jumping back into it kind of a little bit, but just out of curiosity, marketing, the stock rising, did that affect your store or the employees in any way?
It's literally, stock, something's going on in stocks. I'm like, cool. Let me process this distro really quick.
And you never...
It's literally another day at work.
Yeah.
And then it's the same day. It's like, yo, you guys you have any controllers? para PS4?
You got
Para Xbox
marketing card?
I mean, how much do stocks actually affect the real company outside of just reputation?
Right.
Honestly, one of the main reasons I ask is not because, for one, people don't seem to be aware of that. The fact that it doesn't really do much for people currently working. But another reason is because some stores, and I've seen it posted like online and stuff, some of the customers who actually had stocks and sold them were like buying food for the employees type of deal. So I was just curious
if you're going that route, no one's brought us Jack.
No one's come down and said, I just made millions off your company. Here's food.
Here's food.
Because a lot of the sort of memes I've been seeing is like, look, like people who own GameStop stocks are treating us better than corporate.
Oh my god.
Paying it forward.
Or to piggyback on that too, wasn't that the person that was buying consoles for kids at a hospital or something like that?
Yeah. Someone he bought like a whole bunch of Switches.
Or a whole bunch of Switches, for
hospital.
a children's hospital. That's really cool.
That's pretty cool, yeah. So that's a pretty neat thing.
Makes my heart feel all warm.
But I do have to say though, I think
stuff.
there is a thing against customers bringing food for employees, but I don't think people really pay attention to that. And although it's something that you might be aware that you can get in trouble from corporate for accepting.
We talked about it a little bit on off podcast, but we had somebody who came in and always brought in Krispy Kreme donuts, and if he poisoned them, so be it.
It wasn't that.
I rolled those guys every day.
He just so happened to leave them at the store, and I mean, why waste them?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it wasn't even like a danger in that case. It was more like a possible bribery.
Oh, bribery?
lawsuit.
No, I know, yeah.
Bribery!
Again, like, this is something that I bet very few people pay attention to, and I know that I have also, before I worked at GameStop, brought food or some kind of snacks.
Yeah.
No, it's true,
to you
because...
guys. I think one time I brought either pizza or chicken wings.
You used to...
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't care, but
awesome.
obviously I'm not the one who would be in trouble.
I remember it's true, we would be the ones.
Yeah. I know.
What is that? Who gave that to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, right, put that down.
I got it for myself.
How many of these did you eat?
Yeah. I mean, I even helped out with...
You put that down now.
It's like shining in your face.
Where'd you get that?
I mean, hey, a lot of GameStop employees have to learn a lot of things more than normal people do, right? So like district probably were taught interrogation.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
There's interrogation.
There's a level up on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interrogation techniques, right? How to get them to squeal.
How to be the good cop and how to be the bad cop.
Waterboarding 101.
Waterboarding.
Right? Yes.
Learn how to blackmail like a champ.
You get a badge and everything.
Well, anyways, one of the changes that happened was actually we talked about it. We actually made a whole topic about it before they actually implemented it. But they have the new change now where you only display 200 of the top selling titles, and there's no game, like no gutted copies or anything anymore.
Oh yeah.
How was that?
Pros. We didn't have to get games anymore, so we didn't have to worry about people coming in and being like, I wanted this new, but it's open. It's like, it's not pre-owned. It's still new. It's just been unwrapped.
The age-old struggle.
Same thing.
Age-old struggle.
Yeah, and we don't have to worry about that anymore. Cons. We put out the display boxes with the cover arts, regardless of what we have in stock.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to go based off of the planogram.
Oh, that's a word I haven't heard in a while. The old planogram.
I was waiting for it to show.
Planogram.
Yeah.
Planogram.
Word of the day. And so it could be a game that we've not had in stock for months, maybe even over a year. And it's like, we have to display it out there. People come up, they're like, I want this game. They don't have it in stock. False advertising. It's like, no.
Fake news.
Yeah.
Literally FDO.
FDO.
It's FDO.
You know,
it says it on the box.
Yeah.
You know,
It's also marketing too.
that's
Yeah.
How applicable. Wow.
So, something I just I don't think we've ever brought up, but I think it's you know, when customers try to argue, it's open, so it's not new.
Right.
But then you can easily also argue it's also technically not used or pre-owned.
Exactly.
Right.
You
It's
know,
in purgatory, which
so
means I
you-
can't sell it to you now. It's mine.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
It's like, so either
Needs to
you
be
take it that
destroyed.
way or you don't. You know?
It's like it's still new. It's just not sealed.
Yeah,
Like-
I usually hit them with the "it's never been played."
yeah.
Well,
Yeah, it's never been played before.
Which is it's never
Well,
it's
what I
not
tell-
pre-owned and it's not used.
Why I
again.
tell people, it's
Yeah.
like, well, how can you prove that? It's like, it's never been put into a console. That's what we consider
And, and that's the
literally-
thing.
brand new. It's never been put in console.
Yeah.
like this copy has not left the store ever.
Unless you had to
What-
put it in an
and that's the thing too,
interactive.
marketing, because that's one thing I hear people argue about. Like customers, I see customers
very
argue
true.
this, and I've had friends who argue it when it was never been played, and then the argument back is, well, it's still not sealed,
Yeah.
so it's been opened.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's
Then
because the term is new, used, or pre-owned. It's not. Might not be sealed, but it's still
Yeah.
new. While
Open and wrapped.
it's
and
not used and it's not been
Yeah.
pre-owned, so
Open
it
box.
leans more towards new,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, we only have two categories: new and pre-owned. It can only be pre-owned if it's been owned before. It
Yeah,
can only be
exactly.
considered used if it's been used.
It's kind of like you learn bartering skills that you don't necessarily realize you need or like aren't ever really going to use. It's like you're at a market and it's just like, this chicken's 3 years old. No, this is 2 years old. Well, I said he was young. Well, what do you mean? What do you mean by young?
All
Well,
the impressions are happening tonight.
You learn
Like,
you learn solid skills of bartering.
yeah, you know,
at-
or whatever it may
behind the
be.
counter.
It's just like, well,
It's
I said that it
funny.
was, you know.
It's literally just explaining the facts.
It's informative.
It's defining the definition,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
the words that
Yes.
we use.
Informing. Yeah.
It's true, no, yeah,
Yeah.
it's like you used
And
to be like,
If they
arguing.
really wanted a sealed copy, you could just be like, "Yo, I'll find you another store."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or you
Okay.
can go to Target, you can go to Walmart, you can
Yeah.
get the hell
Or-
out of my store because
Exactly.
Or look on
you're,
eBay.
you're attitude.
Yeah.
excuse me,
And
sir.
then it's like the same people come back and want to return a new game for new price, but it's like, no, you can't do that because it's used.
Because
Now
you
it's
made it.
used. Now it's pre-owned. It's been
Now
your,
it's used.
You owned it and you put it in your console. So
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
see what's happening?
yeah.
All right.
Oh, I love it. Like I was
Dilemmas.
accused once. This
Oh,
guy
yeah,
was
let it out.
arguing with me, and he's like, "How do I know you didn't use it?" I'm like, "Cause I didn't use it. Like, I don't even have this console. Like, what do you want from me?"
You know,
I don't even like this game.
Yeah. You think I have all the time in the world to play every? Well, yeah, I do. Actually, never mind.
well, you do now, right?
Hush, hush.
but
It's a hard time for everybody. Okay.
but at the same time, even now though, that means you can't rent it out, right? Or whatever, borrow it or whatever.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't have time to do any renting or playing any video games when I worked there. Like
Yeah,
the
I
last
know.
few months was
That's-
just like
That's what I mean. It's like
impossible.
ironic, right?
You talk about them more than you actually get to play them.
It's more like you talk about them so much you don't even want to play it regardless.
Oh yeah. It's like I hear about it all the time. I hear people talk about it. I hear the GSTV talk about it all the time. I'm over it already. Like
Yeah.
I know too much for a game I've never even put in my console.
You've forgotten the thrill of opening a new game and undoing the shrink wrap like you do it so often. It's not special anymore.
Yeah, we talked about it in one of our episodes that's going to be released soon. Is I was mentioning after I left the store, you know, my tenure at GameStop rather is it took me about 1.5 years, 2 years before I even wanted to touch a game. Like,
Yeah.
and it's not because I didn't like games or I'm not a gamer. I hated games. It's just you're just so kind of just done
Burnt
with
out.
it. Like,
Burnt out.
it's kind of just like, man, like it's just so nice not to even talk about it. And you forget like a lot of
Yeah.
people that's like their hobby or that's like what they talk about.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, dude, I don't want to be a right now, but can we just not talk about video games? Like, I can give less of a crap about like,
Yo,
about like what you're playing.
That's
like,
that's
I know you're
marketing right
excited, but like, please, like, if
I
you could
hear
do me a
this like
favor.
all the time. This is my daily. I
Yeah,
hear
right?
people talk about the same game every day like it's new, and it's like,
Or I
cool.
go to someone's house, they're like, "Oh, are you trying to play this?" I'm like, "I'm not trying to be mean or try to be rude or anything. I'm just kind of like, just do something else." Like, you know what I mean? And it wasn't until like now recently that I've actually been like, you know what? Let's pick up a game. I'm playing. I'm like, wow, I'm having fun.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, oh, this is why I gamed before. Like, oh
Yeah.
man, I don't have to talk to everybody. I don't have
Yeah.
to sell this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm literally
Sell this.
only playing this for me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't have to talk about it to anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, literally, like, it's just my own experience. Like, you know, I don't have to read
It's-
anything. I don't have to go anywhere. Like,
And then that's the funny thing too,
Yeah.
because I stream, and I don't stream. I don't have a schedule or anything, and so I get people who ask me all the time, why don't you set a schedule? Why don't you try to make money out of it? I'm like, because I'd hate it, because I know already that I'm having fun when I do this, but when I do it on camera and I have to do it every certain day, I'm gonna hate it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, I'm just doing it, just have fun to show people what kind of game this is. I'll chat about it while I'm playing the game, and maybe afterwards if people want to chat about while I'm playing something else, but I'm not making a career out of this.
Yeah.
This would just make it very not fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get, I people would say, oh, that's what I want to do. I want to make money playing games because that's my life. And I'm like, it's not the same, dude. Like, and you hear about it all the time, like influencers, what they call them now, influencers. Like, they get totally burned out, completely burned out. And then when they have like contracts with the certain games and they want to move on to a new game and they can't because they can't advertise the new game.
Yeah.
Sucks,
Raid
man.
Shadow Legends.
Raid Shadow Legends.
This
that's-
podcast is sponsored by Genshin Impact.
no,
Oh, no.
not a sponsor.
No, not
Not a
bad.
sponsor.
No,
Or,
our
Manscaped.
what's our dream sponsor again?
Bonchon.
Bonchon, yeah.
Bonchon.
Hey, Bonchon, if you're listening, though, you're
listening.
welcome. You can stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would gladly
Eat
eat
a
your
whole bunch of
product for money.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I was,
But,
I was gonna mention it off podcast, but man, I haven't had Bonchon in a while. I want some Bonchon.
That's
Same.
if I'm honest though, one of my favorite parts about working at GameStop was being able to geek about video games to customers.
Yeah.
Like I loved when they would come in and they would be at one of the walls and be like, "Oh, what do you recommend?"
Yeah.
And then I'd ask them like, "What do you play?" And like, "What games are you into?" I'm like, "Have you played this? Have you played that?"
Mhm.
And then if they haven't, that's the best part because then I get to talk about it. And I'm like,
Right.
"Yeah, this is why you want to get this game because this is this is this." And they're like, "Oh, that's so cool." I'm like, "Yeah." It's like the best part. That's
I love
the
that.
only thing that I look forward to when I was working there was
Mhm.
being able to geek out about my favorite video games.
Which is basically
people-
Mass Effect all the time.
No, it's not Mass Effect all the time.
I'm kidding.
I have other interests.
Pokemon.
Overwatch.
Overall.
No. God.
FTO saying it
I don't
like we
even
totally
know.
got it right.
But at the same time, if a customer came in and asked about Mass Effect, Overwatch, and Pokemon, I mean, that's like incredible for you, right, FDO?
Yeah, of course.
But yeah.
But I also love Far Cry. I love, Detroit Become Human, Tomb Raider, pretty much any of
Candy
the
Crush,
big story games. Huh?
Candy Crush, yeah.
Oh yeah. Love Candy Crush. I'm a real gamer.
I like it.
What level are you at?
Yeah, I think in previous episodes we've talked kind of about the customer sort of duality that came with interacting with customers. I think, on one hand you get the crazy questions and, the
Constant
folks
returns.
that are in and, that kind of give you a little bit of a hard time. But there was really a really nice, fulfilling part of that job, and it was the opportunity to really be a game advisor for folks who really trusted you for your insight.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, I think in that episode we talked about, I think all of us agreed that was such such a good part of the job.
I mean, it's
And
one
it
of the things
really-
I miss, honestly,
Yeah.
chatting with people about certain games and even chatting with coworkers that
Yeah.
played,
hmm
played some
Oh,
games. Yeah.
God. Being able to just geek out about, like, the upcoming games and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And just Like when it comes on GSO, and you're like, look, and you watch it, and you're just like, this is so awesome! I can't wait. Like that's honestly the best, because like being able to be with your coworker and the store be completely empty, and you guys just yell and scream about the games you're looking forward to, and like the cool stuff that's happening. That's the best part of the whole job, is just being around it, being engrossed in just video games and the whole thing, outside of the retail aspect of it.
Yeah.
I always thought it'd be cool if I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I always thought it'd be cool if like corporate had implemented some kind of annual sort of watch party. We're just like, hey, E3's going on.
Yeah.
So you can just hang out here and just watch and just be excited.
They do that for BlizzCon, the virtual ticket.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Where you can go through and
Sorry, people are working on the roof here.
yeah, right. They're excited about BlizzCon too. They're like, nope. So you basically get a virtual ticket, and the virtual ticket basically grants you access to like all their different like displays and stuff that you can actually see it, but kind of from like a virtual reality, like 3D kind of point of view, which is weird.
That's cool.
Nice.
So I can see how they're going to start implementing that with like the whole pandemic and everything.
Right.
Everything's will be virtual now.
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, it's just more like it'd be cool if they had let the stores like actually host it, put on like GSTV or something.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Well,
I feel like they
you
could have
guys-
utilized GSTV for a lot of things that they didn't.
Yeah.
You guys heard about the lounge aspect of GameStop that they were trying to implement before the pandemic, right?
Was it where they were trying to invite people in to where they could like play games or like?
shortly
Yeah,
after the
yeah,
pandemic,
like-
but yeah.
They had certain tester stores, and they put in like seats and TVs, and
Computers
you can come
and
in
all
and play
that.
games,
Right.
and try out games and all that kind of stuff. They were trying to turn it into a hangout lounge spot as well as a
Stole my
GameStop.
idea.
Right.
Yeah, specifically in Oklahoma.
Yeah,
It was in
and
Oklahoma.
And I think like if that was a thing, like now it can't really be a thing right now because of the pandemic. But if they do that, I really do feel like it will be a really good expansion of the company, because that's what a lot of people are looking for. A lot of people always come in and we're like, can I try this game out before I buy it? And it's like, sorry, we only have those demos and they're all preset. Like, we can't just put a game in there. And, if we had that set up, people could come in and like just rent the space, and for as ever long as they rented it, they could have like, Smash Brother tournaments. They could watch E3 and do all this kind of stuff, try out games, try out the new consoles that came out, and just be involved without committing, just be involved and enjoy it with people that also enjoy it.
So I just had to interject
Very
that
true.
the game store I used to work at before GameStop, I worked there for like 6 years. We had exactly that. We had an actual empty room with 8 stations built. And that room was just for like, if you wanted to play a game for a few hours, you can actually just rent out like a station. And then there would be behind another room was like 2 couches and a big screen TV, and you can just rent that room out to like watch something.
Yeah.
So we actually used to have
And it worked out.
Yeah, and
It was good.
it actually set us apart, and that's how we got a lot of customers back then. Which is like, this is way better than GameStop.
Yeah.
So I just bring it up and they'd be like, you can't do that. I was like, I remember I was telling you guys, like the whole idea of like my stores, I wanted to make it a community space where people felt safe coming in and just doing different activities, raffles, all that stuff. It's not so much a game store, but a game experience.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then
What's interesting is, we had that with midnight launches. That
Yeah,
was probably the closest that we saw to this like sense of community where we'd have people come by. Sometimes they wouldn't even come by to buy the game. They just come by to check out the event.
Yeah, the event,
you know? And
That's
so
But like, imagine before, like, even because when we were there, this was before streaming really hit,
Right.
You know, like, because there were streamers,
yeah,
but it's before it really like caught its stride and everything,
yeah,
and like a lot before, like people were more interested in like, let's say, being behind camera and stuff. But even then, like having certain days where it's just like, hey, today we're doing nonstop tournaments for this game,
right.
you know, and as people come through, and like, let's say you don't have space to rent out, where it's like, we're not going to split half the store for like a dedicated stations. But it's just like, you know what? This night's Smash night. So you guys all come through and it's all a Smash related event.
Yeah.
And we do this once a week or once a month or every so often, you schedule different events that come through.
Yeah.
Or if you had a station where it's just like, hey, you know what? We can have a streamer come into store, stream straight from the store. Or you have a whole station set up where a kid that's interested in streaming can be like, hey, you know what? Let me sit down, put the headset on, have the camera on me, and like I'm streaming on this BS like GameStop thing.
Yeah.
And I can feel like I'm a streamer, you know what I mean? And it makes people want to come into the store because they feel like they're more involved in the experience.
More involved, and belong to this community.
Yeah, right. And I feel like right now, like especially with like all this like stock news and like all the different changes they're making in store, I feel like they're taking a lot more of like the less personable route right now. You know?
Yeah.
It's hard to take a personable route when you have to stay 6 feet away, though.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Very
Because
true.
thinking about it now, I'm like, yeah.
I mean, these were pre-pandemic ideas that seemed like they made sense, but now in this sort of new environment where people are banging on roofs and stuff, I mean, it's
directly above
sort
us
of-
right now. Like,
The world is changing too fast.
the world is changing in real time. The world is changing. Actually, this is going to be a new roof here in a minute. So,
Yeah, right. You know,
uh,
it's like Minecraft. You know, yeah.
If only, right?
we're about to see someone drop.
We're gonna have a river flowing through the roof.
Yeah.
You're like, oh snap! I took one extra block out. You know?
Put that
Plug it,
back.
plug it.
Oh, put that back real quick.
Surprise guest.
See what we're seeing now, but we're all like looking at the roof, like hopefully it's not gonna come down or something,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but with the pandemic, definitely less personable route. With all these ideas, it kind of hurts to hear that the actual retail experience, not so much the retail experience from a customer perspective, but the people that are working there, it's like same troubles, different product, you know?
Right.
It's almost seems like they want to make strides, but they're kind of just hitting the same walls they keep always hitting.
Yeah.
It's where I hear your stories which you're saying, you know, working double shifts and no coverage. I'm like, that sounds like when Assassin's Creed Black Flag came out, or it sounds like when this game came out, or it sounds like when this game came out.
Yeah.
Or like you said, like having a last minute launch and then all of a sudden, you know, your whole pre-order system crashes and
Right.
you're the only person there.
Yeah.
Guess what? Nintendo
Yeah.
announces amiibos and you're like, oh my God, you know, like how are we going to do this launch? Or like all these
Right.
different things that you get hit with curveballs, but you just learn to roll with the punches, which is
Yeah.
great.
It's funny. That just made me think about how I remember the evaluations I got when I worked at GameStop. Like Future Store would give me, it's like, oh, you really acclimated to all this really easily, because this is a lot of stuff to learn at once,
Right.
to do at once that most people can't do.
Yeah.
And like especially during the holidays. And I'm like, this game store I used to work at was a startup, so I had to do everything there. So
Yeah.
to me, this is
Yeah.
nothing. Like to me, this is like it's easy for me to do, but I can see why it'd be hard for most other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't realize how good you can be at something when you can focus on it when you've had to be good at everything.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And when you're sitting there and you're like, oh my God, like I can't focus on selling because I'm doing all these other BS projects
Yeah.
when I could be
Mhm.
just focusing on what's important, you know?
That was
Yeah.
funny
Like-
too. When I was working at our mothership, I guess is what we call
Oh
it.
yeah, the
store.
motherland, yeah, the mothership.
And I remember there was this thing, but man, that printer never works. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fix that right now because I did that at the game store I used to work at.
Mhm.
I was the tech too, so
Yeah.
That's one thing I tell people.
Tech support.
At my current job, I fixed the printer better than anybody there because of the printers that we had. I swear. I swear. Like, I tell them, I was just like, I should put that on my resume as like IT tech for printers. Because, dude, I look over, it's just like, well, have you checked the toner cartridge? Well,
Right.
hold on, let me see. Well, have you
cleaned it?
Yeah, right. Yeah, have you cleaned
Have you
it?
turned it this way?
Have you popped
Did you
this
turn
out?
it off?
Yeah, did you
and then
plot
turn
that
it
back
on
in?
Right.
again?
All right, here,
Did
hold
you
on
blow
real quick.
into
What
the
are,
cartridge?
what are we working with? A Canon, a zebra? Like, you know?
What's going on here?
Yeah,
I didn't know GameStop taught life skills.
Life skills.
Right.
Life skills. They are very handy for later on.
GameStop holds your hand to get you a change your oil.
Well, you know,
Oh,
speaking of pandemic, it's something I wanted to talk about actually about 10 months ago. This was originally when we were going to have FDO on the show.
Mm.
That was actually when pandemic hit, though.
Yeah.
It's literally 10 months ago, because it was, I remember it was the end of March when we had this one plan. But I was going to ask, like, how did your store handle it when they first kind of rolled out the whole had to close for business and
Yeah. Yeah. The
some
early
stores
days.
still
of-
like opened
right.
because the thing is,
They went out with a fight. Like we were what happened was
I think everyone.
the company was trying so hard to convince the county that we were essential
Right.
business.
That's what I remember. Yes. Right.
And then the county was like, no, or the state was like, no, you're not. You gotta close. But then they didn't close. And police had to come in and be like, you guys need to close. So they closed for that day, and then the next day they were open until like the actual I think the governor had to get involved. It was like, you guys need to close, and that's when it was finally like, okay, you're closed. But because it was only really the stores within our county that had to close for completely. There were 2 other stores outside of the county, but still within the district that were doing like pickup at the door pickup.
Okay. Yeah.
Curbside
Pickup.
pickup. Yeah. And so what we did with the rest of the stores, my previous manager was going to all the other stores that were closed, getting all of the stock, bringing it to our store, and then I would come in and help him box it up and then send it to the 2 stores in our district that were still open so that they can have stock to send out.
Sounds about right.
Interesting.
And then when we reopened, we had nothing to sell.
Wow.
So that was an interesting time.
How was the correspondence with corporate? Because I had heard that when you had to report like, oh, police came by and told us that we had to close, they would respond with something like, well, did they fine you? And if they haven't fined you, then be
Stay
open again.
It was something like that. It's more like if they come by, give them this number, then have them call. Basically, it's like it was just as many ways to deflect or dodge as possible.
Yeah, until
to make sure. Until there was no choice but to close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So marketing, did your store actually stay open for a little bit too, or?
I remember it clearly because the day that we closed was when Animal Crossing came out.
Yeah, because I was going to mention that too. I remember telling everybody, I think they were pushing for that last day because they didn't want to lose out on Animal Crossing sales.
And
Yeah.
Doom too, right?
Because that was the one
And
game everyone
Doom.
was waiting for so long.
Yeah.
It's like, they're like, as long as we can get Animal Crossing out, we'll be good.
We'll shut down after
Actually,
that.
I think they actually were allowed to release Doom early because Doom was supposed to come out the same time as Animal Crossing.
They give the yes to sell it a day early.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
and
Okay.
so
Just to
all
not-
the people that were waiting for Animal Crossing were like,
Yeah.
"What about us?" We're like, "We didn't get the okay from Nintendo, so sorry."
Oh, wow, really?
It's probably also good to kind of disperse the crowd that would get for 2 games coming out too,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was also it too. We didn't want to have big crowds, I guess.
Yeah.
So we had one other person who I've invited a few times that didn't want to show up. Not trying to throw shade at him or anything, but that I was gonna ask him because I remember stopping by his store and his actually closed. And this was like the first day, I guess, when notices came out and other GameStop stores were open.
Yeah.
His actually closed their store. So I was actually curious about how that worked. What they might have said back to like corporate or things like that, or how the correspondence worked. But
Yeah, right.
So
I
Well,
think
say,
because I remember talking to him about, and I think the whole thing was the actual store, like the employees at that store chose not to open because they were like,
no way.
"We're not." I think that's what it was.
Oh yeah. They chose not to open because like they didn't want to deal with it.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
they acknowledged that this was all just BS, and they're like, "Yeah, we're not going to stay open just because you are convinced that we're supposed to be an essential business, or just because you want to make a quick sell when there's literally a worldwide pandemic happening and people are getting sick and dying. Like,
Yeah.
let's not do this right now."
Okay.
Wow.
yeah, right. And then from your point, marketing, I'm sorry, we kind of got a little off topic. How was the experience at your store when it first happened?
I mean, like I still remember it clearly because it's still March 2020, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like from the first day that we closed. I remember they called me and told me don't bother going in because we're closing. But I still went in anyway because UPS had just dropped off my pre-order. So I was like, I don't have pre-orders. I picked up my pre-order, so I was like, okay, cool. Then I'm out for 3 months. But I remember clearly because like there were some days where they'd be like, yo, we need someone to go in and box a product, and that kind of correlates to what FGO was talking about. And I still remember it clearly because I had to go in, AC's broken, it's hot, and then like you're just suffering in the back because like you're trying to find all this stuff and just trying to ship it out or get it ready to send out. And it was literally like that for the whole pandemic because like, you're just wondering when you're going to reopen. And then when we finally did reopen, ta-da, we ain't got jack.
Yep.
Because no one was there at the store to receive any distro and then a lot of products got delayed or technically canceled.
Distros welcome everywhere though.
Yeah. Hey, when you need me, you don't got me, huh?
It was really, really unfortunate for a lot of the products that were like the collector's edition, like for Final Fantasy, Persona. There was collector's editions. Yeah, and
I never got my Resident Evil 3 collectors.
Yeah, because they came out when we were closed. And instead of holding on to those products for the customers that pre-ordered it, I think what GameStop ended up doing was they just sold it on their website.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They had to have because initially,
yeah,
I even got an email that says, "Hey, did you still want to hold on to this?" From not from like from our store, but from the pre-order system through GameStop, you know, online. And I said, "Yeah, I still want to hold on to it," and then I never got it. And
yeah,
so
they did not send us any of it, anything.
So they just kind of threw reservation policy to the wind.
Yeah.
During this time, then.
Yeah, right. It was the Wild West, man.
Resident Evil 3 and Final Fantasy remake. We even after we reopened, it took us like a few months to even get those in for just standard pre-orders. And there was a lot of patient people who would come in or call and ask if we had it, and we said, "No, do you want your refund?" And they're like, "No, I'll just wait." I'm like, "Okay. I mean, you can get it now at a different store, but if you want to wait, that's fine."
I can say the same thing for that for Persona. I know it's like, for us, I think we had over 30 pre-orders for the Persona collectors. And then obviously when we closed, we couldn't get them. But as soon as we reopened, I know that we kept pestering them to send them, and they actually finally did. They sent all of them in one box.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Oh, man. One massive distro.
One big distro.
one massive distro full of Persona collectors. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Were they all bent and all broken up because they don't care?
No, actually, they came pretty cool. The one that so the thing is, during the course of the pandemic, excuse me, corporate actually emailed me asking me if I wanted to have my pre-order shipped to me. So they shipped my Persona collectors to me, but that box was damaged. So I was like, shit.
Oh.
So it's like I just waited until my other pre-orders came in because I actually pre-ordered more than one collector. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get a better one.
Get a different one.
Sell the messed up one, or open it. I guess depending on how you want to go about it. Yeah. Speaking of shipping, you guys also swapped shipping couriers, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That was
it's a nightmare. It's honestly the worst thing that GameStop has ever decided to do when it comes to actually shipping out distro or product or whatever.
Because they gave us like a few extra steps that were so convoluted because we were shipping with UPS, and then they switched over to FedEx, and
awful.
Like the thing that's annoying is with UPS, we had a scheduled time when we were, when we would expect them. It's usually in the morning.
Yeah.
But with FedEx, they would come whenever the hell they wanted.
Yeah.
Like,
really?
They would come at like 5 in the afternoon, almost 6 o'clock, when we were all like closing at 7 at that point.
Wow.
And like my manager actually yelled at one of the guys. It's just like, you guys need to come in earlier. We need this stuff the day that it's supposed to come in. Like, we can't do this. So they would come in like an hour after we opened from that point on, and it was just like, thank you. Like, I felt bad because I don't like yelling at people. Like, I feel like that sucks. But I'm just like, thank you so much for, changing it up because we greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I really want to talk about what happened near the end of the month of December, because I don't know what was going on, if it had something to do with the company or just with the UPS and FedEx in general. But they stopped picking up our packages. They stopped delivering packages. No, they didn't stop delivering. They stopped picking up our outgoing packages. And we had so many ship from store orders that we had to complete that day. We would get like 10, 15, sometimes 30 ship from stores that we were expected to complete that day as soon as possible. And then we would have to store them in the back. And whenever UPS or FedEx would come in, we would give it to them and they would take it. But no, they stopped picking up our packages.
Wow.
And so the company was like, okay, you're still going to do ship from store, but you guys have to take it to FedEx.
No, that's it's part of it, but like there's two different sides for that. Is from my understanding is that because of the holiday shipping, that's when a lot of families and a lot of people are mailing out Christmas gifts, and that's highly impacting the shipping. And especially with COVID, it's also delaying it both. So I know that they weren't picking up because they're trying to not have too many shipping, like have a long queue of shipping packages out. And that's when they're like, yeah, you have to drop them off to a FedEx drop-off point for the ones that you have. But we're also temporarily shifting to USPS, and you have to drop those off yourself.
Wow.
That like
there you go, another job description, temporary courier.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
It sucked because me and my other coworker who, we weren't exposed to COVID, so we could actually work. We don't have cars, so we couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we also had to do bank runs, and the bank that was near our store was closed still. So the only bank that we could go to was like 4 miles away. So we would have to wait for someone with a car to do the drop-offs for us. And it was like...
Jeez.
Man.
Right? All I can say is I'm sorry. And I hope that you're okay.
It was so...
I want a COVID hug from across, but like...
And I felt so bad. I felt so bad because there were so many orders that came in that we weren't able to ship out after like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have any means to actually do it. So I was just thinking about all of those people that paid for like the express shipping
Oh my God.
and didn't get it by Christmas.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there was nothing I could do. I was so powerless. And that was like part of the reason why I had to leave, because I felt like I didn't have any control over my job anymore. I was at the mercy of the company and of the people and of, everyone around me.
Yeah.
It was aggravating.
Yeah, I remember like when Ship from Store first started, like the inception of it, it was USPS, because I remember we had a bunch of them that we'd package up. We had the same problem where UPS would come in, they'd be like, we don't take those. Or he'd come back and be like, why'd you give me these? It's like, it says USPS on it. And I was like, oh, my bad. Like, I thought everything was just, you just pack it up, you give it to you, and you take it.
Just go somewhere.
He's just like, well, I don't know where you're supposed to drop these off at. And I was like, okay. So I'd always ask my district manager. And we had those apartment style, like, mailboxes at the outside of your business. You know what I'm talking about, with the little slots.
Yeah.
And you have to have a key to, like, go up and, like, open it and stuff.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you're supposed to either leave it right there on the side, or you're supposed to open it up with a key and put like stuff in there. And you're like, you do realize they're like packages that are like high value items. I can't just leave them next there and hope that USPS is just going to grab them and then take them, and deliver them safely. Like, and in my area too, where my store was, it was not the best area because you get downtown tons of people, So I was not feeling okay being like, what do you mean? So same thing. They'd just be sitting in our back room. And I always tell my district manager, be like, hey, like, what are we doing with these? And he'd say the same thing. You're supposed to either drop them off yourself and be like, F that. No, they're just sitting.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, we can't do that. And they'd always come in and be like, what's this? And be like, the same thing I've been telling you about for like the past month. And it's kind of like, well, why hasn't this been shipped out and stuff like that? And that's when they finally kind of switched it up. But I can see how in the struggle, like communication gets lost. And then they're like, oh, this is a previous issue that we had that now comes at the worst time.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of like, you should have sorted this out when it first happened, which we thought you did, but apparently not,
And on top of that, with the way our, scheduling and the hours that we were getting, we would only have like 2 people on schedule for the whole day. And so there was going to be a time when one person was going to be alone for like over an hour, because the other person was taking the packages to the UPS and FedEx, and then taking the bank run and stuff to drop off.
Stopping at Taco Bell.
Yeah, like, and it's like, it's like 4 miles one way and then 3 miles the opposite way and then having to come back. And it's like in holiday rush too. So there was traffic because everyone had to leave their house to go shopping, obviously.
Yeah.
And it was like the fact that we had to do that in order to have our business run, okay, while also not complying to, pandemic protocols, which our county imparted on us, because at one point we had to have a person at the door to make sure that, no one went over like,
Max.
guest limit, and then we had to have one person at register. And our store at the time, we could only have 3 people total, including the employees. So we were having like one person come in at a time at that point. And
that person spends like 50 minutes in the store and then just buys Call of Duty.
Well, that's when I implemented a time limit.
Yeah, I was talking to one of my coworkers about it. I'm like, should we have like a time limit for browsing? And he was like, no, we're not going to do that, because if people complain enough, something will get done, hopefully. Like,
that's what you think, but
yeah, exactly, right? So,
yeah.
But the county standard was a door person. And if we only had 2 people working that day, one of them had to be the door person, but we also had to do a drop. That means we were breaching county protocol.
Right.
And we could get in trouble if someone came in to check on us, that kind of thing. And it was a mess. It was just a mess. It was crazy and stressful. And let me tell you, I was counting how many breakdowns I was having every month for the past like 4 months that I was there.
You're not a GameStop employee until you've had a moment in the back room.
A moment in the back room that continued in the front because there was no one else to cover, so you had to cry in front of the customers because you're by yourself.
Yeah. No, that's a very real and shared experience. I think working on the front lines during this whole time, and we've got listeners who are doing that now.
Yeah, I was about to say, for anybody out there that's in the trenches, we're with you.
Yeah. Marketing, you're doing it now. I don't know how many times you cried last
sympathy.
week.
I mean, I'm off today, so my mind's completely away from it. I'm back in it tomorrow.
There you go. Well, look at that. Even on your day off, you're talking about GameStop.
I know.
It's not a daily thing, at least, right?
Yeah, thanks, Trade Hold.
You're not getting paid, are you?
Nope.
Hey, hopefully the company hears this, they jump on board, and they realize, you know what, we're messing up. We're still all banking on the GameStop Renaissance, but
GameStop Renaissance is
But
coming. Maybe.
honestly, I'm pretty sure all of these problems is just because of the regional leaders. Like, I feel like that's the problem.
Yeah, I think we talked about that in a previous episode. There's
communication from the top down.
Disconnect, like you said. Marketing's a good way to put it.
Don't like it.
Between those doing that up top and those executing at the bottom. So if there's any GameStop execs listening to this, you heard it here first.
Yeah,
or
right.
maybe not
SOS.
first.
You need to distribute some health potions,
You're like, GameStop execs, stop it.
Drop some care packages on these folks here.
Yeah, I know.
Help them out.
Please.
Okay,
I am traumatized.
Please ask them to stop dancing.
Give them some status items, for their XP, like something.
Or, you can actually ship out products first.
They would probably do that. They would send out just like these plastic doodads being like, we're sorry, here's some health potions for you.
Here's a cookie that
Well,
we
you know
let
what?
me come in and wear.
Doesn't even glow in the dark.
Yeah, right.
That
You know
is
what?
so-
If you,
Come on.
if you need packages, it's funny that you mention it because I'm pretty sure there are plenty in Raid Shadow Legends. Just not our sponsor.
which is not our sponsor.
Nope.
AFK Arena.
Oh no.
So that being said, guys, I feel like we hit a lot of good topics.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Went through some of the recent news, some of the recent troubles and struggles that have been going through. Like,
Yeah, what the experience of working during a pandemic is,
And then
insightful.
holidays.
And then holidays too.
Pandemic.
yeah,
holidays.
I'm sure we just brushed the surface of the of the main issue
yeah.
at hand. especially with the pandemic. I know we haven't had an opportunity to really talk about it too in depth. With the holidays that just passed, without, our usual things that we've had, like that we're used to, such as like E3, PSX, or any kind of big events, and then kind of the shift on stuff, but just how GameStop is evolving with it, like you see that it almost feels like they're hitting the same wall somehow. It's kind of like, how do you die at the same boss each time? Like at some point you have to realize that you have to farm, or you have to do something different, or it's like you just keep they just keep going.
You gotta change up your strategy a little bit,
right?
Well,
upgrade your tech.
It's like they start a new game, they think they respect, and it's like same spot,
Well, you know what? It's just like some of the streamers who have problems with like Bloodborne, right, or like Dark Souls or something. Where it's like, it's not my fault, it's the game's. This game just sucks. GameStop don't care. Retail just sucks.
Get good.
Right, get good, exactly.
Or, use cheat codes like in the stock market. There you go.
There you go. Find a way in. Find a way in, but smartly.
All right. Was there anything else that anybody wanted to contribute? I'll give our priority to our guests, FDO or marketing. Was there anything you wanted to add?
Last thoughts, FDO marketing.
Closing thoughts.
Before we close the store up.
Shoot, I got all of my thoughts out. I got a lot of.
She got that therapeutic session.
Yeah, it's very cathartic to yell about this.
Life post
Yeah.
GameStop, how's that been going, FDO? Life post GameStop, and looking
I've
back.
been able to sleep and not have to worry about what's happening the next day.
Yeah,
it's definitely not as stressful as it was, but it's kind of heartbreaking because I had a lot of good experiences working at GameStop before last year, and it's like I wish it could be just those years, the first 4 years, just continuously. But things change, and you have to change too. And sometimes you have to make drastic changes in order to better yourself. And even if it's heartbreaking, you just gotta do it. And where I go from there is still up in the air, but yeah.
Well, awesome. That's good. That's good on you, FDO. You recognized it. You made a change. I know we've got listeners who are in the same boat. Maybe they're thinking about jumping ship, but not sure what lies on the other side of it. Or even those who have jumped ship recently and wondering what's next. I think you got some good perspective you brought. I think for
you can't hang on to the past, especially if it's not the same, because you can't be sure that it's gonna go back to the way it was. You can't expect it to. You got to do what's good for you now and not just what you want in the future, because you're probably not going to get what you want, and you're probably going to miss out on what you can potentially get now. So
awesome.
Okay.
And then
great close.
What about marketing?
Someone on the front lines now.
I mean, I'm still on the front lines. I'm like, you know, I'm already thinking about jumping the ship, but it's like I'm riding it as I go along, because like it's a struggle to deal with the pandemic and then all of these restrictions and all this other corporate stuff. But it's like, you just bear with it, because you're getting paid to do it, and then I do decent enough at my job to actually do well. Yeah. And it's like, but you kind of like how FDO wants that change of scenery. It's like, I want that change of scenery too. I'm trying to be done with it, because I feel like I'm to the point where I think I'm actually kind of done with with GameStop at this point.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I'm still well enough to just get by.
Live inspiration right here.
Yeah, this is real time decisions.
Don't worry, we'll tell leadership. We'll be like, he's done.
I think at this point, like, I'm in my position that I'm in. I think this is the highest I'll go. I would never want to go past my position.
That's what I was. I was like, no, I'm not going, because I ended at assistant store leader. I was like, I don't want to run a store. I'm not that crazy. Like,
it was fun. Just gotta say,
if this is what you want to do, go for it. That's fine. If that's what you want. That's what you want. I don't want it.
I mean, I could probably lead a store, but I'm not gonna lead a store because I don't
want
to.
It's not because I can't. I just don't want to.
Right.
I want an assistant store leader like me.
I mean, at that point, once you become like store leader or even assistant store leader, you're basically bringing homework home, right? Like,
Yeah.
you basically have homework.
Follows you home.
Yeah. And I think I mentioned it before too. Like, they initially wanted me to hire me for assistant directly, and I was just like, no.
Yeah, right.
I've done that already.
Yeah.
At my other game store, I'm good. I don't want to take work home.
Yeah.
You just want to be a nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I want to play games. That's all. Mm-hmm. Well, awesome. Yeah, no, that's good, and that's good insight too from someone who's in it. Obviously, there's listeners who connect with that, folks who are in there now, and all of us being ex GameStop employees here, at Tradehold, Cash Rep Distro, and now FDO. It's back and forth. You appreciate the time what you learned, you appreciate the time you spent in it. There's obviously a lot of bad, negative press about this company. Always has been. You can go to any Reddit page that's focused on GameStop and see just nothing but negativity. Mm-hmm. But we try to do something a little different on this podcast and kind of take a more balanced approach. So for you marketing it, I know you're sort of feeling towards the end, but hey man, as someone, all of us who have been there, you're doing great work.
Yeah.
Everyone who's there now, I mean, I don't think that I would be where I am or who I am without the skills I learned at GameStop. So
yeah, I'll tell you what, the FDO, I know because you're out of it now and transitioning to something new, but you learned a lot of skills at once at GameStop. Because they expect you to learn so much that once you're somewhere else where they have specific departments and specialties, it takes a load off your mind.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Makes you feel like much more at ease, whereas someone who's like freaking out when it's their first job,
yeah,
and then your first job was GameStop and you move on to something else and you have like one concentration, and you're looking at this other person who's their first job is that job you have now, and they're freaking out, and you're like, this is nothing.
Yeah.
This is nothing. I've seen war.
You played war.
You played it, lived it.
This is kindergarten. I was taking AP classes. What?
What? You're like you're punching boys in the face.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I think
it's time.
Close the gate.
It's time to head over to the shutters, pull those down, turn the interactives off, start counting the cash.
We don't need that whole shutdown video there, GSTV.
Yeah, right. We can
disinfect everything because COVID was thing.
Disinfect, yes,
disinfect
yes.
everything. Yes.
The new
Do we have to
reality.
clock out before we do that, or is it considered like on time?
Tell those last minute customers.
No, you never clock out. You just stay clocked in, and your SL will fix it.
Don't forget.
Yes.
Don't forget to remain for the last 10 minutes sitting down waiting for your end shift time because you need to get that thing.
You didn't milk it.
There is no leaving early.
On time, no leaving early. Don't clock
Get that
out.
cash.
Don't forget to mop the floors, sweep it, vacuum.
Go back some.
Oh yeah, we didn't get to touch on it, but the whole thing with curfew and then having to clock out and.
Oh
yeah.
That.
Part two.
Future
Part
content.
two.
We'll come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna have
Talk
these,
about that another time.
we're gonna have these great guests
It's a
back.
whole other bag of worms.
Like until the next GameStop meme comes out,
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, cool.
All right.
Well, we're gonna end it. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank
Thanks
you for
again
listening.
Thank you to our
Joining
guests
us.
for
Thanks for the
coming
guests coming by.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having me. My name is Ting.
Market
All right,
team.
everyone. Have a good one.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.